What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Philip Ray YouTube channel. Now today's video is going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to show you guys how I shave my head even though I have SMP. Now a lot of guys seem to think that when you've got SMP you need to shave your head differently, or these certain things that you need to do in order to maintain the SMP, and you can't do this. The way I shave my head now is the exact same way I shaved my head before I got SMP. Now, if you're wondering what SMP is, it stands for scalp micropigmentation, where they basically inject ink into your skin, very similar to tattooing, that replicates the look of hair follicles. Now, if you want to learn more about my balding journey as well as my SMP journey, I'll put the link in the description so you can watch that video. I've got a full video on my whole SMP journey. Make sure you check that out. Today, I'm going to show you guys how to shave your head to the bone, aka with a razor, the way I do, to get the effect that I have. Now, if you're new to this channel, make sure you go and hit the subscribe button and hit the little ding dong notification bell to make sure you're notified every time one of my videos comes up. I'm uploading videos twice a week, so make sure you're part of the notification squad. So let's get this started. What's happening, guys, and welcome to my bathroom. So basically what I'm going to walk you through today is how I shave my head with a razor. Like I mentioned before at the start of the video, the way I shave my head now is the exact same way that I shaved my head before I had SMP. Shaving my head with a razor hasn't affected my SMP at all. Basically, I'm a Norwood 6 or a 7. My hair has receded all the way back to the classic horse shape, like Homer Simpson. Basically just got hair on the sides, above my ear, back, down, towards the back of my head, and to the other side, the top. Although there is some stubble up there, like you can feel it when you touch it, it's basically thinned out so much that there's much more skin than there is hair. So that's a good thing in my case, because it kind of gives a little bit of depth and realism to my SMP. It helps give that 3D effect. But either way, I still shave my head the same. So what I love about shaving my head is that I love the smooth, super smooth feel that it gives. It's fresh. There's basically minimal upkeep. Like I said, I shave my head every 2 days. So this is 2 days growth now. And I don't know if you guys can tell the difference between my hair and the SMP. I can, because I'm used to looking at it all the time, so I can differentiate it quite easily. However, for most people, the common eye, people look at my hair and they really can't tell the difference. Everyone's different. My hair grows really quick. So I could probably get away with shaving every one and a half days if I really wanted to. However, I just like to keep it 2 days, every 2 days. So I shave my head around 3 to 4 times a week. And yeah, first things first, want to make sure you got a fresh razor. Razors only last so long. I'll probably go through a razor a week, maybe a little bit longer if I stretch it. But the first thing you want to do is have a nice fresh razor, hot water, get it nice and warm. And while you're waiting for that, put a little bit of water on your head, just to get your head nice and wet. I should take my glasses off for this, so there you go. Shaving cream, ready to go. I like to use a shaving cream specifically for sensitive skin. However, it's all up to you. I just get whatever's on special usually, actually. A little bit. I start off just by doing the top part of my head. Lather it up. So I do it in sections. I basically do the top part first, and then the sides, and then the back. And then I give it a once over the whole thing. Now what I do is, I go with the grain for my first round, and then I go kind of perpendicular to the grain. So I go across the grain. With the first passing, with the grain, start at the top, back, and work my way to the front. Nice, long, even strokes. Don't do the little tiny bit strokes. Nice, long, even strokes, starting from the back and working to the front. Now, one little tip I want to give you, don't push down too hard, especially where there's not much hair. So for example, for me, any part of the top area where there's not that much, especially at the front, if I push down too hard, there's been times when I've kind of hit a ridge or a pimple or something, and I've actually cut myself, and it bleeds, and it takes a couple of days to heal, and you got this marked red, gash on your head that you kind of try and conceal. So my tip is don't push too hard where there's no hair. The sides and the back where there is kind of hair, a little bit of thickness of hair, you can push a little bit harder without risking cutting yourself. But just be super careful around the sensitive bare areas where there's no hair. See, around here, I've got a ridge on both sides of my head, and if I push too hard on that ridge where there's no hair, I can cut myself. And I've done it numerous times, rushing or not paying attention to what I'm doing. So from the back to the front, I'm not going to touch the sides for now. Another tip, when you're doing your head, especially around the front, whether that's the front, the top, or the front, the sides where your temples are, try not to raise your eyebrows or move any parts of your head with your facial features. Because for me, if I raise my eyebrows like this, you notice my skin up here moves and it wrinkles. If I'm raising my eyebrows or moving part of my face and creating those wrinkles, when I try and shave in this area, I can actually risk cutting myself. So try and keep your face relaxed. Don't move any of your facial features too much, because it can cause your forehead and skin up on your head to kind of move a little bit, and you could create a ridge where you can cut yourself. So try to keep a poker face. You want to rinse your blade every 1 to 2 passes, just to keep it nice and clean. One to 2 passes max, then give it a rinse and a tap to clear out the blade, to unclog it. Try not to move our facial features too much to create, as that's going to create wrinkles on your forehead. I'm only doing it now because I'm trying to look in the reflection of the camera. Right, so that's pretty much the top done. Now we're going to move on to the sides. More shaving cream, just a small amount, probably around a small coin's worth. And that's going to froth up nicely like this. Just on the sides. Behind the ears. Now behind the ears is one of those spots that I always miss. When you start shaving your head, you start realizing that when you first start doing it, you realize that there's going to be bits that you miss for whatever reason. For me, it's always been behind the ears and the back of the lower part of the neck. These are parts that I seem to always, I guess, when I first started shaving, I used to forget to shave. I used to miss those bits, and there'd be little bits of hair there, or at the back of my neck. So I got into the habit of making sure that I went over those areas 2 or 3 times just to make sure I didn't miss them. You'll probably have your own little areas that you miss, and you'll get into the habit of going back to get those areas. Sides now, temples above and behind the ears. Like so. Grab the razor. Make sure the razor is nice and wet, hot water. Same as last time, we're going to start at the back. So as I mentioned before, we're going to go with the grain. So for me, my hair grows down the sides. Start at the top. Long strokes, long purposeful strokes down. Making sure we get behind the ears. There's a ridge behind my ear, so I need to be careful that I don't cut myself. I've done it many times before. So if you guys notice you have a ridge behind your ear, be very gentle around that area. Don't push too hard. There's no need for extra pressure there. Let the blade do its thing. Top to bottom. 2 strokes. Careful around the forehead area. Now I'm going to jump to the other side. Starting from the top, temples, down, long deliberate strokes. Maybe 2 to 3 max. Careful behind the ears. And that's the sides pretty much done. Now for the back, might put a bit more water because the water may have dried up by then. Just to get it nice and wet. Shaving cream, just a small coin's worth, all on the back part. Now the back part's pretty tricky because you can't see what you're doing unless you've got a mirror behind you. I don't. I've learned to shave the back of my head without using any mirrors at all. It's all about getting used to the angle of the blade and how you're going to hold it. Lather it up. Don't forget the back of the neck. For me, I always seem to forget that area. Looks a bit funny, like I'm trying to grow a mullet or something. Not there's anything wrong with that. Hot water, blade. How I like to hold the blade is like this, because I can get the right angle where it's pointing down, because I'm going to go down like that, because my hair grows down. So with the grain once again, top of the head, making our way down. 2, maximum 3 strokes before you rinse it out, otherwise it gets clogged. Starting from the top of the head, working all the way to the back of the neck. Make sure you get those neck hairs. Now the odds are, if you haven't been doing the back, if you haven't been shaving your head for too long, the back of the head seems to be the spot, the area that you always seem to have little hairs that you've missed. I'll go over it again. So what I've got into the habit of is now, with the second passing, I'm going to wet my head again, all over. Feel to see if there's any areas that you've missed that you can feel with your hand. Take note of them, because you're going to come back again and make sure you get those spots. Great. Now I'm going to lather up my whole head. Starting from the top, sides, and the back, all the way to my neck, behind the ears. Just like that. Now we're going to do our second passing. We're going to go against, sorry, not against, we're going to go perpendicular to the grain. So kind of like front to back, side to side. Get our blade, hot water. I'm going to start at the front, go across the grain, like so, from left to right. Just one quick passing. For me, there's not much hair on my head, on the top of that part of my head, so can do this fairly quickly and feel confident that there's not going to be anything left to the top part of the back. Then we're going to do the sides, perpendicular, back to the front, like so. Careful around your temple areas and there's where the areas where there's not much hair. Don't want to, like I said last time, you don't want to put too much pressure on those areas where there's no hair, because you can cut yourself. Left side, across. Careful around the temples. Make sure we're getting behind the ears. Now for the back, going to go from left to right, across the back, holding it, the blade, normal way I hold it. All the way down. Being careful around the ridges behind the ears and making sure I get the back of my neck. Always some stray ones there. And that's pretty much it. Rinse off. Always have a towel handy. Pat dry. I usually jump in the shower now. What I'm going to do is, now you can either have this sideburn kind of like a hard line, or if you've got clippers you can blend it. I always like to do a nice fade into my hair and then into my SMP temples. And then I'll jump into the shower. That's pretty much it, guys. If you have a look, that's clean, nice. Blend. Really happy with my SMP. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. You can take something from it. If you know someone that's balding, that needs SMP and needs to learn how to shave their head, Make sure you link in this video. If there's any other question, guys, make sure you leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Hadouken!